What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you guys can get in and out of curl and comeback breaks in 3 steps, okay? So this is one of the most commonly talked about things when it comes to curls and comebacks, but definitely one of the harder things to do. So I hope this video gives you guys some value. You're going to be taking a look at 2 different 45-degree angle breaks, so I hope this gives you guys some value. But also, you guys, if you're a receiver, you need to get stronger, more explosive, improve your grip strength, improve your core strength, upper body strength. Check out that very first link in the description for a full 4-week wide receiver gym program. It's going to help you with all aspects of the wide receiver position. So again, if you guys want to get on this 4-week specific wide receiver program, check out that very first link in the description. Let's get started with this video, okay? So now we're going to be looking at this comeback route, Rondale Moore, with this kind of peek back technique, and we're mainly going to be focusing on the steps at the top of the break, okay? Great job using this peek back technique. That's not necessarily what this video is about. Stay tuned for the video later today. We're going to talk a lot about that peek back technique. However, biggest thing right here is, can we eliminate time at the top of the break? Okay, so what a lot of people, a lot of all the, the Instagram and YouTube freaking gurus, there seems to be 10 more every single week. Just be like, oh, you want to get out of the break in 3 steps, right? But it's not that easy, and you can't just go out there and walk out there and go run full speed and get out of a break in 3 steps. It takes time, right? Now, it's one of those things that's going to take a lot of reps, right? I remember this past year working with guys, over COVID, and we would work it over and over and over again, sometimes hundreds of reps, just to be able to get it in 5 steps, not even necessarily 3 steps, because it's one of the hardest things to do to sell vertical and get out in 3 steps. So it's not something you can just walk out and do. But today we're going to be talking about what are the key things when you're at that level, right? So when I'm selling vertical on a route, I'm going fast, right? I'm in stride, I'm fast, I got my pad level forward, and then I got to be able to drop and get out in 3 steps. So the main key is that you want to use this trigger step right here. You see how he's snapping down, getting his pad level in a low position, right? He's bringing his chin to his knee. He's not leaning back. He's not on his heels. He's on the balls of his feet. That first trigger step is the biggest key in order to get out of it in 3 steps. But again, you guys don't want to focus so much on steps. You guys don't want to focus on what foot to break at. You want to eliminate time, because that's the other thing that a lot of people don't understand. They'll get up into a break. They'll be running into this comeback, and guys will take 3 steps, but they slow down. They slow down, and their steps are slow. They don't have any explosion because they're not selling vertical. Then this DB's all over them. They're like, oh, I got out of it in 3 steps. But that doesn't matter. What matters is being able to drop suddenly, sell vertical, have balance, and get out of it as fast as possible. Eliminate as much time as you can, not eliminate as much steps as you can. And then a lot of people will say, well, why can't I just get out of it in 1 or 2 steps? That's not realistic to you being able to run full speed. If you're running full speed, it's very, very unlikely you're going to get out of it efficiently in 1 step. A stop route, you could probably get out of it in 2 steps, but a comeback where you got to accelerate out, or a curl where you got to accelerate back to the ball, 1 step, 2 steps is probably not the most realistic thing in the world, okay? You're not going to have that explosion in that drive, because when you guys snap down on a comeback, I teach inside foot because I believe that it's going to be a more efficient way you can eliminate as much time as possible if you do it correctly. Outside foot, I'm not saying is wrong, but I teach inside foot, right? So when you snap down and you get your hips low, that second step makes or breaks if you're going to get out of it in 3. Because you see how Moore, he pivots that second step all the way around. You see how he pivots, and that toe's almost like at a 45-degree angle, because that snap, then that pivot is what allows your hips to get back on this 45-degree angle to where you can get out and hook your 3rd step around, because it's a snap, pivot, hook, and you're hooking with your left foot, and you see how he hooks with that left foot all the way around. That left foot is that drive step. So when you snap, when you pivot, when you hook that 3rd step, that 3rd step is what you're going to use to push. You're going to push out that inside arch of your foot so you can create that explosion, right? Because you get in that low explosive position with that trigger step, then you pivot, then you hook around. And that hook around is what's going to push you and keep you in that explosive position to give you that acceleration back to the ball. You see where he can run out, win that race back to the ball, go up and catch it at its highest point, okay? So it's very, very important that you guys got to understand. You snap, you pivot, you hook. That hook step is what pushes you and drives you out of this break, okay? So let's watch this thing full speed one more time for more. Main keys, everybody needs to understand this. Not about steps right off the bat. It's about selling vertical. Can you use your hips to slow you down with that trigger step? And can you eliminate time at the break? There is nothing wrong with if you're a beginner, if you're a beginner receiver and you're taking 5 steps at the top of the break, yes, we can always be better, but you're still better off than the guy who slows down 5 yards before and starts picking his chest up and gives this DB all these indicators and then tries to make a break. You're much better off taking 5 steps at the top of the break, selling vertical, and having a sudden explosive drop that can shoot you back to the ball. Because it's all about breaking when this guy has no idea. Let's get the snap first. Let's sell vertical first. Let's get the snap part down. Let's get dropping with my hips down first, and then let's worry about eliminating steps. Then let's worry about the bigger details, right? But when you're at that level, this is what's for you. These are the specific things that you guys need to be worried about, okay? And it's always good to know this, right? Because again, we talk about that snap, that pivot, and that hook, right? So if I go here, let's say I snap, you don't want to just have your toes forward. That second step, regardless if you're getting out in 3, still has to pivot you. After you snap, regardless if you take 5 or not, that second step's got to pivot you because you got to get your hips down. Most people can snap, can pivot. It's just that third step that kills them. They don't push off that third step. They'll snap, pivot. Their third step will just land. They don't drive. Then they take another step, then they're out. That's why they take 5, right? But if you guys can snap, pivot, drive off the third, and really push out of there, that's going to be able to get you out of this in 3 steps specifically, okay? So let's watch this thing full speed again one more time. So great job using that peek back, snap, pivot, hook, and he's out of there quick. That's a great route by Moore, okay? So now we're going to be looking at this comeback route against this kind of like off coverage, right? Now, this is when it's important to eliminate a lot of time spent at the top of the break because it's off coverage, right? So he's bailing out of there, but he's got more time to react because we obviously can't just break this thing off whenever I feel like it. So let's watch this thing full speed. Great job using a pressure step here from Moore and then snapping this thing off out in 3 steps. That's as much time as you can eliminate at the top of this break. And so this is a perfect example of you guys being able to get out in 3, right? So he gives this kind of like pressure step to sell vertical. Again, you see when he's doing this, right? That vertical set step, that can kind of help you come to balance a little bit, especially when it's real quick right after this and you can sell vertical still and still be able to get this DB off of there. But you see when he's going into this break, he ain't slowing down. He's not slowing his feet down. He's not raising his pad level. He's not changing up his stride length and chopping his feet. He's going full speed ahead, keeping the same stride, giving that pressure step, and that's what forces that DB to turn his hips because you see how much speed he has to the outside. This DB in off coverage, he does not want to get beat over the top. So again, it's all about making sure that you sell vertical first. Do not get in that habit of slowing yourself down, chopping your feet, raising your pad level up because you're trying to get out in the least amount of steps. Let's try to get out in the least amount of time, and then let's worry about getting around. Then let's worry about cutting out steps, right? So now he comes here, snaps his hips again, violent snap. If you guys don't get in that explosive position, you'll never be able to get out in 3. For you guys who like to run up, and then when you make this break at the top of the route, you stand up nice and tall, your chest is up, you don't actually drop your hips, you're never going to be able to change direction tight around this thing, right? If there was a cone right here, he would be perfectly tight around that cone. He wouldn't drift up towards the sideline. Guys who like to make those tall breaks, like they'll take that really hard step and they don't actually drop their hips. What they'll do is they'll snap, but they'll just bend their waist, and their hips really just, their legs stay at the same spot. They'll snap, they'll bend their waist forward, their pad level goes forward, so they think, oh, I'm going to be fast out of there, but there's never any drop at their hips. So what they end up doing is they'll snap, they'll pivot, but because their weight is going forward, they'll take a 3rd, 4th, 5th step, and they'll always be drifting towards the sideline. So it's real important that when you do that trigger step, we get low, we get in that explosive position so I can actually turn that corner fast, and I put myself in that situation or that position to be able to drive out and shoot back to the ball. So I snap. You see a second step. What does it do? It pivots. And he's not turning out of this. You see how his pad level's in a good position. Then look at his third step. Hooks around. Now what's he going to do with that third step? He's going to push and drive out of there. And you see how he gets those arms around, snaps those eyes around, and he's just focused on widening the distance with this DB. That is a textbook example of how you guys can get out in 3 steps. Now, when you guys start to get this down, be very careful that you don't start to turn your hips early here, okay? So Moore is probably as close as you can get to turning your hips early, but you don't want to be running full speed and then start to open up this hip towards the sideline, then you snap down. You want to make sure that you keep your hips vertical. Use that snap to be the thing that slows you down. That pivot step is what gets your hips open, and that third step hooks back around to be able to drive you so you can create that explosion, but also make that break efficiently and sell vertical for as long as possible, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So great job using that pressure step, pushing up vertical, snap, pivot, hook, and then let's get out of there. Great route. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions on any of that, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also, you guys, if you're a receiver and you want to get stronger, more explosive, improve your grip strength, you want a full 4-week gym program to improve your game, check out that very first link in the description. Hope we get you guys on that soon, and I'll see you guys next time.